Be like living off campus, scholarship, and what money I have to play with for fun times, and we're actually paying some bills. And here you are now, celebrating your freshman year. Freshman year is probably one of the most difficult transitions in your life. From this point on, things should be a little bit easier. They may not be, but things should be a little bit easier for you. Then we talk about how we make this opportunity a little bit easier. That's developing a brand, that's developing a legacy for yourself that people can remember. People will remember you if you develop a positive legacy and a positive brand. They will also remember you if you do something negative. So we're going to have a great opportunity here tonight to listen to some wonderful individuals, to give you some tools and some advice on creating a great legacy and a great personal brand. Your brand is everything. Your brand is how an individual at your table right now looks at you, and either they respect you or they do not. It's how you present yourself in everything you do, out there on the field, and also in the classroom with your professors, and in society, and our new community, Boulder, Colorado. So I want to bring up Silberry to give you some great advice on how to create a positive brand.
I talked to you guys in September. I was the one that talked to you about your coach. You knew your coach as a recruiter, and then you were going to transition. What's your legacy? And every single one of you who decided to come to Colorado and play in the Pac-12 conference came here to win games, came here to win matches, came here to win championships, came here to be first. I don't think anybody here signed a letter of intent or committed to a coach to be mediocre, right? You didn't come here to say we're going to be 8th out of 12. And you guys look a lot more confident now than you were in September, I'll tell you that. In September, you only said a word. But oftentimes, freshmen defer to sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And sophomores defer to juniors and seniors. And juniors defer to seniors. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not my job. I don't have to worry about winning. I don't have to worry about winning championships. I don't have to, all I need to do is show up. Show up, go through the practice. I'm not necessarily going to say go through the motions, but get through the day, and I'm okay because I'm just a freshman or I'm just a sophomore. And I think if you want to leave a mark or leave a legacy or have a brand or tweet something that's worthwhile, win championships. I used to think about what you guys do every day. Get up at 5:30, some of you. You're in the weight room, 6 to 7. Take a shower, get something to eat. You go to class, you turn around, you come back to practice. You see tutors. It's on and on and on, and it's endless. It never stops. So if you rethink this and I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to get up tomorrow anyway. I'm going to be in the weight room anyway. I'm going to go through practice. I'm going to go through all these things. Why not you and your teammates decide we're going to do it and we're going to make our mark? We're not just going to go, we're going to be a little bit better or go through the motions. We're going to win a championship. Everybody in this room should be thinking about winning a championship. And how do you do that? Part of how you do that is you create rivalries. If Cal beat you this year at home and you didn't like that, already you should be talking about Cal's not coming in here next year and beating us, or UCLA, or Stanford, or Washington, or Oregon. If you don't create rivalries, if you don't talk about it in the locker room, if you don't talk about it at meals, if you don't talk about it in the weight room, if you're waiting for your coach to tell you how to get fired up to beat somebody that beat you this past year, we have a lot of wrong people sitting here. Really. You guys, if you're football, you should be fired up, ready to go, and aggravated about so on and so forth. Same thing with soccer, same thing with volleyball, same thing with men's basketball, and tennis and golf, and all the way down the line. Every single one of you. That's how you create culture. That's how you create a legacy. That's how you do it as a class. That's how you do it as a team. That's how you do it as individuals. You can't wait. I would not wait. So that means when you leave, finished, finals are over in May, you got to start thinking about, now's the time I'm focusing in on lifting weights and being in shape. Because I guarantee you last year at this time, when you're getting ready to graduate from high school, right, you had no idea the strengths, the speed, the quickness, and the athleticism of the Pac-12 conference. You didn't know what a Division I team or competition looked like. Okay, now you do. Now you know what it's going to feel like when you go round 2. So I know we won some championships. We won some championships in some of our sports. In ski, in cross country, we won conference and national championships. And so those sports have to continue on and be better, because those sports have a big old target on their back. Everybody's going to want to knock them off. But everyone else, you have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm not waiting until I'm a junior. I'm not waiting until I'm a senior. I want to get it done now. And so I'm giving you the invitation, don't wait. Don't wait on the junior. Be a leader. Be the leader in the weight room. Be a leader in conditioning. And take the initiative when your first practice starts next year. You're beginning to leave your legacy. That's what I would say is leaving your legacy. Okay.
Barry. I always think of her as Coach Barry. She was coach when I was here. Of course, I'm old, but she is young. Next, I want to bring up 2 student athletes to speak to you from their perspective. Things that they did to make sure that they created their personal brand and the legacy for the rest of their future. Judah and Brooke. Sorry. Judah and Brooke, I want to bring them up and have them talk to you about their legacy. Brooke is a national champion. She has a lot to say, and you guys should sit back and listen to everything she has to say. You all, I know, want to be national champions. So, Brooke, Judah.
I brought note cards because I'm not as good at this as Seal is, or as practiced. So, when I was asked to talk about like personal branding and legacy, the first thing that kind of popped into my mind is like, what does personal brand and what does legacy mean to me? Personal brand, like the logo, the CU logo is what pops into my mind, like the actual brand. And that's what you guys are doing for yourselves. You're making your own brand. You're carving out your spot here at CU. And so I think that the best thing to start out with that is asking, what kind of person do you want to be remembered as in your time here? Look at your strengths and weaknesses. How can you help your teammates? How can you help your classmates? How can you help your coaches? How can you impact your time here and everyone you come into contact with at CU? Because everybody in this room has so many gifts and talents, not just on the playing field, but also off of it. And so I guess my message to you guys would be just to find you know, find what you're good at and take that into your teams and take that into the locker room and out onto the slopes and onto the playing field. And you know, who you are with your teammates, you want to be able to present and have integrity with what you're saying on social media and how you're acting around everyone that you come into contact with here at CU, because there are so many people here that want you to succeed, that are willing to help you do anything to succeed. You know, whether that's in your sport, in athletics, or in the classroom. You know, so reach out to people, get to know who can help you, and find those resources and make the most of your time here, because it's going to go fast. It's going to go really fast, and in 3 years you're going to be graduating. You know, and that seems like a long ways off, but I was saying the same thing like 3 years ago, and so it goes by really, really fast. And so I just encourage you guys to really just like reflect on like what kind of person you are, and what kind of legacy do you want to be remembered as. You know, when someone thinks of you, and as you're a senior, as you're leaving this campus, you know, how would you like to be remembered? So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Brooke. Yeah, so when I came in here, you know, I'm an island boy. I came from Hawaii, and I came out here, you know, I was 18 years old, and you know, my parents told me all these things. You want to do this, you want to do that. When I got here, you know, I really found out that, you know, I'm totally by myself, and I got to kind of find out who am I as a man, who do I want to be as a person, who do I want to be as a citizen coming out of college. I know I did a lot of, you know, future thinking when I first came out here, but the advice and branding and legacy, you know, what I really want to impart to you guys is that, you know, the biggest thing, if you guys want to be great at your sport, you guys want to go on to professional, you guys want to become a doctor, you know, do all those great things, the biggest thing is to have a goal, to have an action plan. If you see all the great people and you hear all the great stories that you hear about on, you know, ESPN 30 for 30 and all that, is that everybody had a goal, everybody had a vision and some type of short-term and long-term goal that they held up in the room. You know, it could be on your phone, it could be anywhere, you know, but it's just something that, you know, that you can, that's tangible, something that you can reach towards, and something that you can, you know, set your eyes on. You know, for me, my goal was to come out of here, graduate 3.5 years, and have my degree in my hand. And, you know, that's what I set out to do. And another thing, you know, my brand, what I kind of, you know, in hindsight, looking back now, what really became my brand at CU is somebody that was responsible, somebody that, you know, had integrity, and somebody that was a leader in my community. And, you know, what I did in my community was, I guess in December, we had a Champions in Action group. That was a group that we went out to Huntington Beach. We really talked about alcohol and drug prevention in our schools, and we came back and we implemented that here at CU. We talked to our coaches and we talked to our different teams, and we kind of educated our different sports programs when we came back over here. And as I went on throughout the years, you know, I started getting involved with more community service things, and you know, that's something that I was passionate about, something that I enjoyed. Another thing was, you know, also I wanted to go into professional football. You know, as you get older and you see where your talents bring you and stuff like that, you know, the dream of going on to the professional league has never died for me. But, you know, I say if that doesn't work out, you know, what do I have to fall back on? Now, you know, thinking in my head, I'm like, well, this whole time I've been so consumed up in, you know, being a football player, working out, doing this, going to the parties, doing all these things, studying, you know, having everything balanced. But, you know, academically, that was really underdeveloped for me. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what I was interested in. I didn't really know what I was passionate about. So, you know, thinking about it and kind of going to different resources that I have on campus and that you guys have all access to, like career services. It's all free for student athletes. I went there my junior year. This great mentor, Blair Fraser, she really helped me create my resume. I took career development tests to see what I'm naturally good at. And right now, currently, you know, I'm working with Edward Jones in investing and, you know, becoming financially savvy and, you know, giving financial advice. That's the end goal of what I'll be doing. But what I want to, you know, bring that all home and bring it to you guys is that, you know, really find out outside of your individual sport, what you guys are passionate about. That's the biggest thing, because at some point, if you guys go on to the professional leagues, and your body's gonna tell you to stop at one point in time, and after that, you guys are gonna have to have something to fall back on. But more importantly, you guys are gonna have to fall back on something that you're passionate about, and something that you don't view as work, just something that you enjoy doing every single day. And if you guys can do that and come to that point in your guys' life, you guys are still ahead of the game. But I just want to say I believe in all you guys, and yeah, kick butt. All right.
And please don't be free to, don't feel like you can't reach out to us. I'll still be here through December, and please say hi.
So, thanks, Judah and Brooke, for coming out. Next, we're going to have a professor in the Department of English, Dr. Adam Bradley, come speak to you guys. Dr. Adam Bradley has worked with hip-hop artists like Common. He's written books with Common and done a lot, and really got a great chance to dive into what he did to create his legacy and his brand. So, Dr. Adam Bradley.
Thank you, man. Thank you all. I know that it's not necessarily a cup of tea to be hearing Professor after dark, but I'll try to be a storyteller as well. It's not a good sound. Now, I really cherish this opportunity to speak about designing your brand, defining your legacy, because I've had the opportunity as a professor, as a writer, to think about not only my own legacy, my own brand, but those of others, to write other people's stories, to help other people tell their stories. Hold up, I'll have to click personally here. So, there's so much talk these days about corporations as people, not just corporate. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, dude. Not just the sloganeering, but the actual the legal definition of corporations as people. But what does the other side mean? What does it mean to think about yourself as a kind of brand, to brand yourself? I think about this quote from Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And whether you're a businessman or a businesswoman, what he has in mind there is that you handle your business. You invest in yourself. You understand your strengths, you understand the strengths of your organization, in this case, your team, your university, the particular class you're in, if you're in my English classes. You understand your strengths, you understand where that maps up. You understand where you need to work, or how you need to invest in yourself. Coach Barry talked about some of those ways that you invest in yourself. The two student athletes talked powerfully of their own experiences in investing in themselves. Well, this is real, and this is something that goes beyond athletics or academics. It goes to life and legacy. But I realize I don't want to get too heavy. Man, you just are coming to the end of your freshman year. I wish we were a little closer to the end of the year. I want to get out of it too. But we're here. And there have probably been some things that have happened this year that you count as successes, and some that you've counted as challenges, ways that you surprised yourselves and ways that you might have even disappointed yourselves in. That's all right. Because defining a legacy and creating a brand is also about what you do in adversity. It's not what you do when things are easy. So I want to sit with you and think about the biggest brand in sports for a moment right now, the biggest individual brand, and that's LeBron James. Think about the decision he made to go from Miami back to Cleveland. Think of the letter that he wrote, the public letter that he wrote to announce his motivations behind that. It had to do with legacy, the life that he wanted to leave behind, the connection to a place, to a community, to home. This is your home. No matter where you're from, CU is becoming your home as of this year. Your team is becoming your family as of this year. It may at times be a disruptive family. You may want to, run from it, but you come back to it because it's family. LeBron James came back at some personal cost, but no cost to his brand. So we have this brand. It's the one that you wear on your bodies when you play. It's the one that you see all around here. It's the one that all of us claim, even those of us on the faculty who are only lucky enough to step on the field when we're a coach for a game here and there. But it's something that's a source of pride, but it's only a source of pride if you invest in it, because this is also you. You help define what this is. You help in your individual actions to let us know what it is to be a Buff. You do that for me, you do it for everybody who's involved in this university. That's a legacy. It's a collective legacy in addition to your personal legacy. Well, I want to spend the time that I have remaining with you talking about two lives, two legacies that I had a hand in seeing in action. Anybody know who this is? Anybody forced to read Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, all 600 pages of it in high school? Maybe if you take a class from me, you might. Ralph Ellison was one of the great authors of the 20th century, an American author, an African-American author. He published one book in his lifetime, one novel, 1952's Invisible Man. He wrote it during segregation, and it's a story of a young black man moving from the rural South to the urban North, to New York City, defining who he is, who he wants to become. And the last lines of the novel are this: "And is this which frightens me? Who knows but that on the lower frequencies I speak for you." Rewind that. "And it is this which frightens me. Who knows but that on the lower frequencies I speak for you." Now he's not saying I speak for you, other young black men just like me. He's saying I speak for you no matter who you are. What race, what gender, what time, what country. I speak for you. The audacity of that claim was powerful in that moment. In fact, might have even galvanized some of the social transformations that we saw. The movements for equality, the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, the movements that we're even now fighting to understand who we are as a people. It's a big legacy off one book. But he didn't stop writing, he didn't stop working, just as you don't stop improving your craft. He kept writing as an old man. In fact, when I was a freshman in college, Lewis and Clark College is somewhat, not Pac-12 institution, though I played a little bit basketball. I soon found out that my legacy lay somewhat interconnected with his. I started working with a professor who brought me in and had me reading Ralph Ellison's writings. I found out that that professor was a friend of Ellison's, and when Ellison passed away that same year that I took this class as a freshman, it changed my life because my professor became in charge of all of Ralph Ellison's papers, and he named me his research assistant. And that's why I do what I do, because of this man. So I'm part of his legacy. That's part of it. It can be a human thing as well, a connection across time. If you go up on Riverside Drive in New York, anybody from New York City? New Yorkers? Well, if you're up almost to the edge of where Harlem begins, New York, you gotta be a New Yorker in here. We gotta start recruiting better in New York. You go up and you see this statue. This is a statue that's a cutout. It's an invisible man, quite literally. This is also his legacy for people who curiously walk up to it as tourists, see what this is, and maybe read the book. It could be transformative. Take you to a very different individual. Well, that's me holding the book that I worked on. Ellison's second novel that I worked on with John Callahan, my old professor from college, that I began working on as a 19-year-old. And it took a decade But after that decade or more, we published all those papers that Ellison had collected over the years from 1952 to his death in 1994. Another extension of his legacy. Another extension of his brand even. They're gonna make a film out of Invisible Man. There's gonna be some money involved in that. That's his brand. And that's part of, as well, this larger literary legacy. Let me take you to hip hop. Medford mentioned that I worked with the rapper and actor Common on telling his story. He published a memoir. Well, I wrote the darn thing in 2011, where I talked to him and he told me his story. And his story had to do in part with his celebrity, with his brand, Common. Think about that as a brand. Isn't that the worst possible idea for a name? I mean, Common. Try to Google that. Think of all the things that come up. Common is one of the most common words that you can imagine. When you Google Common, this gentleman appears. Why? Because of the efficacy of his branding. It began in hip hop, 12 albums deep, moved to film and television, ending this year in an Academy Award. Carving out a legacy. I want to talk about this woman. You see, when I was writing Common's book, he was dating Serena Williams, which I thought was pretty cool. I got to meet Serena a couple times, and when we were doing our interviews, we'd often get in the car and drive, and I'd have my tape recorder in my pocket so he didn't think it was an interview, because it wasn't. He's telling his story. We'd go along talking, and maybe he'd even spit a few rhymes as he's composing his album. And then he'd say, man, as guys do, I mean, women, I'm gonna let you know a secret, we do talk about you. And he said to me, man, I'm having some trouble with Serena. Like, I really care about it, but I don't know what's happening. And so I tried to help him through his love life. I felt like Oprah there in the car with him. I think I eked out another couple months for that relationship. But it ultimately came to an end. But you look at this brand that she's crafted. What a powerful inspiration for a woman in sports to become the kind of figure that she's become, gotten bigger even than her sport. Common learned from her far more than I think she learned from him how to establish his brand. In her Gatorade ads, he became the voice of the television ads. The nice little hookup you get, added benefit when you dated the #1 player in the world. But talk about cultivating a brand. Serena Williams is a master of it. Well, Common went on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart right after the book came out. And he called me up and he said that he and Serena had just broken up. The news had just hit. And he said, man, Adam, what did we say about Serena in the book? Because he hadn't written it, but he also hadn't read it. So I told him, don't worry, I got you covered. I'm looking out for your brand. And I didn't want to have anything too personal in there that would lead to any embarrassment. And he went on the show and it was brilliant. Because brand extends beyond the athletic field, extends beyond your field of endeavor, it extends beyond the classroom to your personal life as well, and how you comport yourself to act in a way where people can see the light and the night side of you and not be ashamed. So there he was earlier this year accepting an Academy Award for Best Original Song for the film Selma, connecting to Ralph Ellison's legacy of the civil rights movement, equality across racial lines and beyond, standing next to John Legend. And it put me in mind of something that he told me during the time that we were writing the book. I want to take you to the page of the book. And it started with sports, because he was an athlete growing up. He said, playing ball at Luther South in Chicago, I bonded with a new set of friends. Some of them had come from Lutheran grammar schools, and some of them were from hard knock neighborhoods on the south side that we call the Wild Hundreds. But sometimes just the wild, wild. Most of them were middle-class guys from other parts of the city. Playing sports prepares you for life. there's a discipline, there's a force to it. An athlete's energy is at a higher level. I don't know if I was disciplined then as I am now, but it created certain habits that I still follow today. I had to go to practice, I had to run suicides. I'm not going to let myself get tired. When you challenge your mind and your body like that, it tends to bring out the warrior. So with you sitting here at this moment in your freshman year, reflecting on the year that's been and the years to come, I want you to understand that you too can be warriors like this, that because of your discipline on your field of athletics, you are better equipped actually than a lot of your classmates to take that into the classroom, to take that beyond the classroom into your life and career as a whole, to shape that legacy, to think about designing your brand, defining your legacy, and finding your voice within. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, Dr. Bradley. Next up, I want to bring in the head man, our athletic director, Rick George.
Dr. Bradley, thank you. That was great. Brooke and Judah and Seal, terrific. I have notes because I'm not like Brooke. I can't remember if I don't have something to look at from time to time. So what I wanted to talk to you about is really not about brand and legacy, but it all kind of goes together. You know, we created this strategic plan for our athletic department. And what that strategic plan is a roadmap to where we want to go and where we envision our athletic department being 3 to 6 to 15 years from now. And that's kind of what you've got to do as you establish your brand and your legacy. Where do you want to be in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And one good thing about our strategic plan that I think is important to all of you is we made it public. We put it out there. We wanted to put our goals, our objectives, where we were going to go in the public. Because I think when you put things out there, and when you say, it's like Serena said, all I need is opponents to be number one. She put it out there, and she has to live with that, but what it does is it held her accountable. And I think when you're held accountable, you've got to sometimes push yourselves out of your comfort zone and to be successful. And we've gone out there and we said we were going to do all these things, and we're going to probably hit 78 to 80% of those. But what we said is that our goals were going to be aspirational, but obtainable. Everything that we did, we felt like we could obtain, but we knew they were aspirational. It was going to get us out of our comfort zone. And we put it out there, and we've taken some criticism because we said we were going to go to a bowl game in football. We should have. We were good enough to go to a football bowl game this year. We said that basketball was going to go to the NCAA tournament and on and on and on. But we put it out there because I think when you put it out there, it gets you out of your comfort zone. It makes you better. It holds you accountable. So that's important to us, and as you build your legacy, you got to have a plan. You got to know where you want to go. You need to know where you want to be in the next 10, 20, and 30 years. So when we created this strategic plan, we created our core values, and our core values are your core values, and you need to understand what they are because that's who we are as CU. When people come to play us, they need to know who they're playing. They need to know that when they leave here, that their ass is going to be worn out from the way we're going to treat them when they come in to CU. And so our core values, there's 5 of them. And the acronym for our core values is RAPID, and it's a sense of urgency. And I'm telling you all as first-year athletes that you need to have a sense of urgency because before you know it, and Brooke and Judah will tell you, it's going to be gone. And so you need to have a sense of urgency about what you're doing. It's not good enough to finish 2-10. It's not good enough to go to the NCAA tournament because you can't get it back. So you have to have a sense of urgency in how you prepare, whether it's in the weight room, in the classroom, on the playing surface. You got to have a sense of urgency. And so our core values, the acronym is RAPID, which is a sense of urgency. And that's our 6th core value. Our core values, and they've got to be your core values, you got to embrace them, is it's about respect, it's respecting each other, it's respecting your opponents, different ethnicities, what have you. You got to have respect. It's about accountability. We're going to talk about that a lot as a department over the summer, holding each other accountable, holding you accountable, you holding us accountable to standards that are important for CU. It's about that brand. It's about that Ralphie logo and who we represent and how we represent that. It's about passion. I got a little passion, and I know a lot of you do. But if you can't be passionate, I tell our staff this, if you can't be passionate about what we do for you and how we support you and what you do and how you represent this university, we shouldn't come to work. And it's the same way for you all. You shouldn't be on a team if you don't have the passion that you want to be the best that you can be and have the best, and be the best that your team can be. It's about integrity. You got to have integrity about, you know, your brand. It's going to, you got to say what you're going to do, and you got to do what you say you're going to do. You got to keep your promises, and then it's about dedication. It's about your commitment to your team, to yourself, to this university, and to this department, and that's important. So our core values are key to us. We talk about expectations a lot as part of that, and I could go through a million of them, but I tell our staff, I want you to be on time, I want you to work as a team, I want you to commit to the direction we're going. And some of you may question some of your thoughts that your coaches have about where you're going, and that's what we tell our staff, let's debate it, let's discuss it. But at the end of the day, when we walk out of there, we got to be on the same page, we got to be on the same team, we got to be pulling the rope in the same direction. It's the same way with you and your teams. We talk about taking ownership of your area and being accountable to each other, to our student athletes, to our university, our teams, and our department. Student athletes, what we expect you to do is be on time. Don't miss your classes. I look at the missed class times, I look at the missed tutor times. That's a responsibility. It's about being accountable, not just on the field, but it's being accountable to the things that you're supposed to do. I've seen some of the excuses, well, I forgot about it, or I didn't do this. Be accountable to what you're supposed to do. We expect you to be honest. We expect you to have integrity. And we expect you to become a leader. And all of you as first year, you're going to develop into our future leaders. And we'll talk about that at another time, coming back in the fall. We expect you to compete at the highest level in the classroom and on the playing field. I hold up ski and cross country today, two different things that I spoke at, because they did both things, and they did it with excellence. They had our best GPAs of our teams, and they won a national championship, and that's what we should all aspire to do, is to compete for and win championships. I tell all of the recruits that come in, I probably told some of you last year, that if you're coming to CU to participate, you're at the wrong place. If you're coming here to compete for and win championships, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's with your personal brand, or whether it's in the athletic field, we want people that want to compete at the highest level, that want to get outside their comfort zones. And then what I would tell you, that I also tell our staff, you should have expectations of me, and you should have expectations of your coaches and your leaders. You should expect direction and leadership from me. This is kind of my brand. You should expect me to be professional, even though at times in your contest I can get a little vocal. But I try to be professional at all times. I'm going to be honest and forthright with you. I'm going to tell you what I believe. You may not like what I say, but it's going to be who I am. I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to work tirelessly and hard on your behalf to make sure that you have what our mission and our vision says, a world-class and holistic experience while you're at CU. I'm going to be positive and enthusiastic. I'm going to communicate often, and you can all hold me accountable, because I'm going to say what I say we're going to do, and we're going to do it in the right way as we move forward. Lastly, what I want to say to you is my summer challenge to you is embrace the team. And so I've got this quote that I used, and actually the first day I came on the job, it's real simple. It was by Henry Ford, and it says, coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. And so for us to be successful, one of the key things for successful teams, you got to leave your ego at the door. It doesn't matter what your ego says that you need to have to do that. It's all about the team. And we've got to start thinking about our team, and I know some of you run in individual sports and individual, whether you're a tennis player or what have you, but it's about the team, and it's about working together. So I challenge you to do this summer is check on each other, call each other, find out what each other's doing, hold each other accountable, because when you come back in the fall, and some of you are still competing right now, and you've still got a lot of work to do this season, but as you go away for the summer, check on each other, find out what each other's doing, hold your teammates accountable, because you only have one shot at this. You've got 3 more years left. Some of you may have 4 from an eligibility standpoint, but it goes quicker than you think. And it's important when you leave here that you do leave with a brand, your personal brand, a team brand, and you leave a legacy behind you. It's like, you know, our basketball, our seniors last night, they went to 3 NCAA tournaments. That's their legacy. That's what they left behind. They did it the right way. They didn't have the success that they wanted, but yet this year didn't define who they are. So go away this summer, enjoy your summer, but make sure that you keep in touch with each other, push each other, hold each other accountable, and then we come back this fall, let's compete for and win championships, and let's have our best year ever. So thank you, and appreciate having me.
Well, thanks to our presenters tonight. And understand that right now you're taking a giant step to that next level. And the next level here in the athletic department for you is our leadership development program. We continue to develop you as leaders. We have Dave Callen, the leadership director, who's going to continue to push you to that limit. Continue to develop a community that you care about and a community that is known across the world. Everyone knows a great athletic department. We are the front door to every single university. So it's important for you to take that ownership. Be prideful that you are a CU Buff. I am prideful that I am a CU Buff. I won championships here. Rick George, Coach Barry, they brought championships here, right? So it's your legacy, and it's on you now to go forth and become the best Buff that you can be. What we want to do now is I'm going to bring up Corey Edwards. He's going to talk to you a little bit about some stuff that we have to take care of.
What time? Guess what time it is? Anybody? Survey. Not tonight. We're going to do a survey. We're going to do a little bit differently this time. We're going to develop a survey instrument where we want more detailed feedback from you. So we're not going to do a short survey tonight. We're going to develop it. We're going to email it to you. And you're going to work with your activities coordinator to make sure you get that back to us. We believe that if we can get you off to a good, strong, successful start, you're going to have a great career here at CU. Okay? So we need your feedback. The reason we did the video tonight was so we can get your feedback that we can pass on to future freshmen coming in. We want to be able to give them advice. Things that you've gone through, experiences you've had, we want to pass that information on and make it better for the next class. So when you get this survey, take your time, go through it, give us your honest and open feedback. Okay? We will keep the survey anonymous. We just want to make sure that you complete it and let us know when it's done. Okay? But give us your open and honest feedback so we can make it better for next year's crew. Okay? Thank you for coming out tonight.
Hold on. 1 second. You guys are a class. So what we want to do is get an entire class picture. You guys all move to that corner over there. We're going to get a big picture of all of you.
So we need to move the table to the side.
Guys, we need everybody looking this way. People in the back. We need everybody looking this way.
There we go. All right, everybody looking. 5 more seconds. Ready?
On 3.
1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.